From ABC 15 Arizona, breaking news.
And right now at 8 o'clock, a major traffic alert on the I-10 involving multiple crashes and multiple vehicles here. One of them turning deadly. I'm ABC 15's Megan Thompson tracking the latest on the impact for drivers. Plus, we have team coverage from both of those scenes with our Amelia Fabiano and Jamie Warren bringing us those details from both of those chaotic scenes on the I-10.
An insurance policy error leaves one man without access to his medications, including insulin. I'm investigator Joe Ducey with what could have been a life or death situation.
And the national ground stop of domestic flights yesterday was the first one since 9/11, and now a federal investigation could be on the way. But first, though, to that breaking news and traffic alert that we have for you in the South Valley. Two major crashes on the I-10. Causing major delays and major backups this morning.
That's right. So the first one happening before 4:30 this morning near the I-10 in Wild Horse Pass. The other one happening just a little over an hour ago. That one was on the I-10 near Chandler Boulevard. So let's get right over to our Megan Thompson. She's here tracking the very latest for us, Megan.
And here's a current live picture right now, Allison and Justin, of the I-10 eastbound near Chandler Boulevard, where you do see at this point in the morning, 8 o'clock, this should be full of cars, but it is completely closed off right now as crews are investigating that fatal crash where we saw those flames erupting on our valley freeways. So here's that scene there with that closure. Let's go to your traffic map so you can give you some perspective of where this is. It is just north of the 202 interchange where we have the South Mountain and the 202 Santan coming together. Speeds very low as you're approaching this, and DPS will take you off the freeway at Ray Road. That backup is extensive, getting closer and closer to Bayside Road. So if you can, I would get off the freeway a little bit earlier and travel southbound to get to where you need to go. Honestly, I wouldn't get on the 10 at all this morning. I would use the Loop 101 or those side streets as possible alternates, because that's not the only crash. We know that other breaking news is the I-10 eastbound continues to be closed at Wild Horse Pass Boulevard due to a crash involving multiple semis. So in order to get around this one, here's what you're going to want to do, because we still have quite a bit of backup in that area. You can use Maricopa Road to get on the 347. You can also use the 87 that transitions into the 587 and then gets you back on the 10. Now, to avoid any kind of slowdown that we're seeing in this area, you could go to the East Valley instead, using Apache Junction, going through Florence to be able to get to the southeastern part of our state a little bit easier, obviously a bit more out of your way at this point of the morning, but it's that option for you as we do track those two crashes and those two closures. And we do have team coverage of this major problem on the I-10 eastbound. Amelia Fabiano is near Wild Horse Pass. Let's start by sending it over to Jamie Warren on the I-10 near Chandler Boulevard, where that crash sadly turned deadly. Jamie.
Making an absolute mess out here, as you mentioned. This is as close as we were able to get to things. So I want to show you what we're seeing from our vantage point. So behind me here, on the other side of the freeway, that is the I-10 heading eastbound. We are right near the Chandler Boulevard exit, and you see what appears to be multiple semi-trucks. That's what it looks like to us. So we are still working to confirm how many vehicles were involved in this crash, but you do see fire crews here. They have been hosing down these trucks involved that appeared to have crashed into each other and caught on fire. So we still see a little bit of smoke in this area. Law enforcement is here on scene. Fire crews are working to put this out. And then the I-10 eastbound is shut down just before you hit Chandler Boulevard. So if you are heading in this direction, get off way beforehand. Get off at least before even Warner Road. We were caught in that backup just on our way up here this morning, and our Amelia Fabiano is on scene of another crash this morning, and DPS actually told her that this crash may have occurred because they were stuck in this traffic. Unfortunately, now we are learning that our crash that we are at this morning has turned deadly. We are still working to confirm how many deaths occurred. We are working to get that information, but for now I am going to send things over to Amelia this morning to see what things look like from her vantage point.
Yeah, Jamie, that is exactly what DPS told me earlier, that the backup from this crash that happened earlier, that happened first, spanned all the way up by where you are near that Chandler Boulevard exit. So there was a slowdown happening that may have been what unfortunately caused that fatal crash. It's just been a really dangerous morning out here on the I-10. The good news is this one near Wild Horse Pass and the Queen Creek exits is getting better. You can actually see that they've let the cars that were stuck in between here for hours through so that they could get past the crash scene. They weren't for a while. They were blocked off and stuck there since that happened at about 3:30, 4 o'clock this morning. But now we've really just got cleanup going on. So there were 4 semi-trucks involved. They've now moved them off to the side of the road. We're told there was hundreds of gallons of diesel fuel on the roadway here. So that's been their major focus. That is hazardous. So they need to make sure they're getting all of that cleaned up and out of the road because it wasn't safe for drivers. There are no cars coming on the I-10 now from that Wild Horse Pass exit further north from us, but we're told that they will be let on there from the 202 shortly. But then, of course, you have that Chandler crash to worry about as well if you're further north on the I-10. So just be careful if you're out in this area this morning. There is a lot of traffic, a lot of slowdowns, and just be mindful of where you're going and what's around you and if there is vehicles slowing down. I'll send things back to you.
Okay, Amelia and Jamie, and of course Megan as well, tag teaming this situation that has created a mess. And we want to tell you about one more traffic alert. This one is in Scottsdale Road and Camelback. They have restrictions today as crews try and repair some road damage. The northbound side is going to be limited to 1 lane during the construction. Let's give you a check of your weather now at 8:06 this morning.
Yeah, let's take a live look over the valley right now. Nice Thursday morning, a little bit cool out there, 44 degrees. We're going to be warming up to 73 today. This is actually going to be the warmest day of 2023 so far. A little bit warmer tomorrow as well, but we do have a storm coming. You see tomorrow 74. Look at Saturday. Those temperatures just drop, even more so on Sunday. Even more on Monday. That's because we have this huge system that's moving in from California. Unfortunately, they're going to get slammed again, and that system's going to make its way into Arizona. We're talking about widespread rain and widespread snow as well up in the high country. So we're going to go over the timing of that coming up in your forecast, Allison.
In the meantime, if you're flying out today or even tomorrow, make sure to double check your flight status. More than 11,000 flights that were delayed or canceled yesterday. It was all because of that FAA system issue, and it created a trickle-down effect for a day or two as airlines try and catch up. Congress says it is going to investigate the FAA computer malfunction that led to the first nationwide flight ground stoppage since 9/11. The FAA saying it was likely caused by somebody in the systems accidentally trying to switch out while they were doing some routine maintenance. Something happening there with the computers. Engineers are trying to look into it. They believe that maybe what they did was trying to switch some files, that maybe one had already been corrupted. The state of education in Arizona is grim. That is a message coming from Tom Horne this morning as he returns to his former post as superintendent of public instruction. Horne sharing that blunt assessment in front of the Senate Education Committee yesterday. He says 2/3 of public school students, they're failing math, and 60% are failing reading. Superintendent says student proficiency was low before COVID, and the pandemic only made things worse.
My job really is to convey to our schools the emergency that we're in and the sense of urgency we have to do to turn this around. And there's a lot of work to do that, but I believe it can be done.
Well, Horne says he is creating improvement teams made up of teachers and administrators who are going to go to failing schools and try and help them boost those test scores. Horne says schools that do not improve could see the Department of Education take over their district.
So he was running out of much needed medication and his insurance was canceled and then couldn't get anyone to fix the problem on the phone. When a Valley man faced these huge challenges, he let Joe know.
A routine trip to the pharmacy for Dan Duchesne took a turn in late December.
Nothing could be filled. Nothing. So the pharmacist gave me back my card and said, "You have no more insurance." And I said, well, that's impossible.
Dan is diabetic and takes medicine every day. He quickly called his insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Arizona, for answers.
And I asked her, is there any way to fix this? And she said, no, you're going to have to go to the corporate level because I can tell right here on the computer, your IDF identification has been changed to a federal employee.
Dan is not a federal employee, so he kept calling to clear up his insurance status.
All of us were on hold, and we never got through.
Dan was desperate, so he let me know, and we connected with Blue Cross Blue Shield. In an email, a spokesperson wrote,
They did have a glitch with their phone system in early January and promised Dan would get help. He did.
I could not believe this. 45 minutes later, I got a phone call. I couldn't believe it.
Dan says the insurance was fixed and his much-needed prescriptions filled.
I am so happy. Thank you so much.
This problem solved.
I'm really glad Blue Cross Blue Shield was able to help quickly. And they say if you're on hold for a long period of time, leave a callback number or use their email. I've got that contact information at abc15.com/letjoeknow. If you're a problem solver, want to be a volunteer, fill out our questionnaire right there. I'm Investigator Joe Ducey. If you got a problem, let me know.
Still ahead, a Maricopa County detention officer arrested what he's accused of bringing into the jail for inmates.
And at 8:11, it is a mess all around the valley as I give you this live view of all of those valley freeways with that typical slowdown, crashes on the Loop 101, and the bulk of our issues do remain in the southeastern part of the valley where we still have 2 freeway closures on the I-10 eastbound in different spots. So I will walk you through all of it before you get out the door here this morning, coming up right after the break.
More news anytime. Follow CW60.